Hi there, everybody. Out in Spec Ed 2, we're looking at Module 7.1, the transition plan this time around, and I'm trying a new technology today by enabling the record in Google Meet. I had to talk to my administrator who does Google or takes care of Google for the UGDSB and get him to enable my record function. So you can go into Google Meet and record your meetings. So what I'm doing is I'm presenting the screen that I'm going to walk you through with the answers to my questions today. So the first question, which is, how does PPM 156 relate to supporting students with autism and/or students with special education needs? So I looked specifically at under where it says the current context and specifically where it talks about transition requirements. And down here, we have specifically that this relates to students under policy, or the PPM number 140, which we looked at from the last lesson, incorporating methods of applied behavior analysis into programs for students with autism spectrum disorders. So that's how it directly relates. Now, the second question, which goes into how would you support a student transitioning to grade 1, middle school, high school, or post-secondary work experience. I am looking specifically at work experience, and I'm going to look specifically at students in the DD program. Now, I'll walk you through the steps that I found for Upper Grand District School Board that apply specifically to this. And then I will give the if-then statement, which seems to be the popular method of delivering the initiatives such as this and popular language on an IEP, specifically in the transition plan, the if-then statements. So let's go to the windows. So first we had the PPM 156. If we look at the Upper Grand, after PPM 156 was set out, it looks like the Upper Grand District School Board started a regional project called Learning for All, where they accepted teacher input and they studied the input of teachers looking more at IEPs, creating student profiles for students and so on, and specifically looking at student and parent involvement in the input of transition planning. For the Upper Grand District School Board, I've highlighted a couple of key pieces here, specifically as it has to do with development disabilities classes. That under special education class placements provided by the board, the Upper Grand District School Board, specifically at the high school level, and looking at the developmental disabilities classes, which there are at least 2 developmental disabilities classes at Center Wellington District High School where I work, is that there's a mandate to provide programming that provides opportunities for involvement in community, volunteer opportunities, and work experiences, and these include school, community, and work transition programs where appropriate. So I know from experience last year that the what's called Career Education Council of Guelph Wellington Dufferin offers an initiative called Thrive in the Workplace, where they will come into classrooms and they will bring someone who will run a workshop with them specifically on certain coping strategies in the workplace and certain things that students will encounter in the workplace. I had them come into my alt-ed class last year, run the stress management workshop. And you can see here, there are the different workshop modules that they offer. So I was specifically for the DD transition program in the school community work transition, I would be looking at the module of self, which is about stress and self-care, cultivating healthy habits. So very important here. Key pieces that they focus on in the DD classroom that I know of are rest and sleep, healthy social relationships, which should apply for students on the autism spectrum, and of course, proper nutrition. Other pieces would be the team here, which would be items like different styles of communication, and resolving workplace conflict. And you can see here as well that directly under the work, you have SMART goals, which we were talking about in module 6.3. The one school that I specifically found that has a school community work transition program was Norwell District High School, but there's no other information on here about it. And so on each IEP with the school community work transition happening, the if-then statement that I came up with to be applied directly to an IEP is, if the students in the DD class and their caregivers at Center Wellington experience the Thrive in the Workplace activities brought to the school by the Career Education Council of Guelph Wellington Dufferin, then the student, who I put here initials MS, will be more equipped for a school, community, and work transition program set out in his IEP. These modules could include the work, the customer, and the self, which are the ones I just showed everybody on the other. So the timeline for this in the transition program could be that these modules are done once every couple of months, and then with the thought that the modules are finished by the end of the year. Great. So I think I've answered both of those questions. The other tabs that you see here are my sources and, of course, the course that's open. So if you have any questions at all, any comments, please let me know some feedback about how the sound quality was in this Google Meet, because this is the first time for me using Google Meets to try to record a meeting. So thanks very much. And again, hopefully it worked, and I will talk to everybody real soon.